A masked killer stood motionless in the center of a crowded street. Dozens of people formed a circle around him, their phones raised, hearts pounding. The air was thick with tension. No one dared to step closer. No one dared to breathe too loud. This was downtown Los Angeles on a chilly October night, and Michael Myers, the infamous slasher, was doing what he does best, terrifying anyone brave enough to watch. But then, something happened that no one saw coming. A woman in a homemade cat costume didn't run. She didn't scream. Instead, she walked straight into the circle, locked eyes with the killer, and started meowing. What followed wasn't just a viral moment. It was a masterclass in courage, humor, and the power of one person to flip the script on fear itself. Stick around, because this story will remind you why sometimes all it takes is a little audacity to change everything. October in downtown Los Angeles is electric. The streets glow with jack-o'-lanterns. Store windows are draped in fake cobwebs. Everywhere you turn, someone's dressed as a zombie, a vampire, or something straight out of Nightmare. It's the kind of atmosphere where the line between reality and performance blurs just enough to make your pulse quicken. And every year, without fail, one performer draws the biggest crowds. Michael Myers. Not the actual movie character, of course, but a street performer so committed to the role that people genuinely feel uneasy around him. He never speaks, never breaks character. Just that slow, deliberate walk, that bone-chilling head tilt, that cold, emotionless mask staring into your soul. It's brilliant, it's terrifying, and it works. On this particular night, the crowd had swelled to over 100 people. Tourists, locals, families with kids perched on their shoulders, all gathered in a wide circle, phones out, waiting for the next unlucky person to wander too close. The energy was tense, excited, a little bit dangerous. Myers moved through the crowd like a predator, silent, calculated, every gesture deliberate. People gasped, some laughed nervously, others backed away instinctively, even though they knew it was just a performance. The whole scene was a carefully orchestrated dance of fear and fascination, until she arrived. No one expected her. No one saw her coming. But when Nia Turner stepped into that circle, everything changed. She wasn't supposed to be part of the show. Nia Turner was a local, a 26-year-old woman known around downtown L.A. for her infectious energy and her knack for showing up at public events with homemade costumes that always brought a smile. Tonight, she wore a sleek black outfit she'd stitched together herself, a fitted bodysuit, black cat ears perched playfully on her head, and a long, swishing tail attached to her waist. She looked like a comic book character come to life, and she wasn't intimidated, not even a little. While everyone else kept a respectful distance from Myers, Nia walked straight into the center of the circle. The crowd fell silent. Even Myers seemed to pause, though his mask gave away nothing. She stopped a few feet in front of him, tilted her head, and then, slowly, deliberately, she mirrored his stance. The crowd held its breath. Myers took one step forward. Nia took one step forward. Myers tilted his head to the left. Nia tilted hers to the right, and let out a theatrical meow that echoed through the street. The crowd erupted. Laughter rippled through the onlookers. Phones shot up higher. People started filming from every angle. This wasn't fear anymore. This was entertainment. Have you ever seen someone face their fear with humor? Have you ever watched someone walk into a tense situation and completely flip the energy? Drop a comment below if you've ever been that bold, or if you wish you had been, because what Nia did next didn't just steal the show. It reminded an entire city what courage really looks like. And Myers? Well, he had a decision to make. Michael Myers wasn't used to being challenged. For years, his act had been the same: stalk, stare, terrify. People played along, because that's what you do with street performers. You give them a reaction they want. But Nia wasn't interested in playing along. She was rewriting the script. Myers tried to regain control. He took a slow, menacing step toward her, raising one arm in that iconic, threatening pose. But Nia, she raised her arm too, then added a little paw gesture, curling her fingers like claws, and meowed again, louder this time. The crowd lost it. Applause broke out. Someone shouted, "Go, Catwoman!" Another person yelled, She's not scared of you, Myers. Myers pivoted sharply to his left, trying to redirect attention. Naya spun with him, matching his movements beat for beat, her tail swishing dramatically behind her. Every time he paused, she paused. Every time he turned, she turned. It was like watching a mirror image, except one was supposed to be terrifying, and the other was absolutely hilarious. And then she added sound effects. Every slow pivot Myers made, Naya accompanied with theatrical hiss or playful purr. When he lunged suddenly toward a spectator, a classic Myers move, Naya did the same, but winked at the crowd and blew a kiss. People were doubling over with laughter now. Phones were everywhere. Someone started a live stream. Within minutes, the hashtag Cat vs. Myers was trending locally. But here's the thing, Myers still hadn't broken character. He was a professional. He'd been doing this act for years. He wasn't about to let some woman in cat ears steal his spotlight. So he upped the ante. He moved faster, sharper, more unpredictable. He circled the crowd, trying to shake her off. Naya didn't miss a beat. She stayed on him like a shadow, like a predator hunting the predator. And the crowd? They were living for it. If you're loving this energy, smash that like button right now. Let's see if we can beat the algorithm together and get this story to the people who need it most. Because what happened next wasn't just viral, it was beautiful. Something magical was happening. What started as a one-woman comedy act had transformed into something bigger. Naya wasn't just performing anymore, she was leading. And the crowd wasn't just watching. They were participating. People started clapping in rhythm. Strangers who'd been standing silently moments before were now cheering her on, shouting encouragement, laughing together. A diverse mix of tourists, locals, families, and street vendors, all united by one woman's refusal to be afraid. There was a father holding his young daughter on his shoulders, both of them grinning ear to ear. There were teenagers filming TikToks, already planning their captions. There was an elderly couple holding hands, smiling at each other like they'd just witnessed something rare and wonderful, because they had. Naya had done something most people only dream about. She walked into a situation designed to make people uncomfortable, and she turned it into joy. She looked fear in the face, or in this case, in the mask, and responded with laughter, with playfulness, with humanity. And here's what no one expected. Myers was starting to crack. His movements became less menacing and more playful. He started exaggerating his head tilts, almost like he was playing along now. The tension that had defined his act for years was melting away, replaced by something lighter, something fun. The energy on that street had completely transformed. What began as eerie silence had become a celebration. People weren't afraid anymore. They were connected. They were joyful. They were alive. But here's the thing no one saw coming. This wasn't just about a street performer and a woman in a cat costume anymore. This was about what happens when someone refuses to let fear win. When someone chooses laughter over terror. When someone reminds a whole crowd of strangers that we're all in this together. And just when people thought it couldn't get any better, Michael Myers did something he'd never done before. He reached for his mask. The crowd went silent. Myers' hand moved slowly to the bottom of his mask. For a moment, nobody breathed. Was he actually going to do it? Was he going to break the illusion that had terrified people for years? He pulled the mask off. Underneath was a man in his 30s with a huge, genuine grin on his face. His eyes were bright with laughter. And instead of maintaining the scary persona, he did something completely unexpected. He started clapping. For Naya, the crowd exploded. Cheers erupted from every direction. People whistled, screamed, applauded. Naya took a theatrical bow, her cat ears bobbing, her tail swishing behind her. Myers, now just a guy named Marcus, as locals would later learn, walked over to her and pulled her into a hug. She laughed, surprised and delighted, as he raised her hand in victory like a referee declaring a champion. "You win!" he shouted over the noise, still grinning. That was incredible. The moment was electric, pure, authentic. And the internet? The internet went absolutely wild. Within an hour, clips of performance had been uploaded to every platform imaginable. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere you looked, hashtag Cat vs. Myers was trending. The The videos racked up hundreds of thousands of views overnight, then millions. News outlets picked it up. Local LA stations ran segments. People from around the world were commenting, sharing, tagging their friends. Both Naya and Marcus became instant local celebrities. They were invited to podcasts, interviewed by community blogs, asked to recreate the moment at Halloween festivals. Street vendors started selling Cat vs. Myers t-shirts. Fan art appeared online. But the real victory wasn't the fame. It was what the moment represented. If this story made you smile, share it with someone who needs a reminder that courage and humor can change everything. Because what Naya did that night wasn't just entertaining. It was transformative. And the lesson? Well, that's where things get really powerful. Here's what Naya proved that night. Fear only has as much power as we give it. That masked figure in the street, he was designed to be scary. That was the whole point. But Naya refused to participate in the fear. Instead, she brought joy, playfulness, connection. And in doing so, she didn't just change her own experience. She changed everyone's. Think about that for a second. One person, one decision, one moment of courage. And suddenly, an entire crowd went from tense and uneasy to laughing and united. That's the power of choosing a different response. That's what happens when someone refuses to let fear dictate the narrative. So here's the question I want you to sit with. What mask are you afraid to challenge your own life? Maybe it's a fear of speaking up. Maybe it's a fear of being different, of standing out, of looking foolish. Maybe it's the fear of not being taken seriously, or the fear of failing in front of others. Whatever it is, Naya's story is a reminder that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is refuse to play along with fear. Sometimes courage looks like laughter, like playfulness, like walking into the center of the circle when everyone else is backing away. Because when you do that, when you face a thing that scares you with humor and humanity, you don't just change your own story. You change the energy around you. You inspire others. You create connection. And that's how legends are born. On a chilly October night in downtown Los Angeles, a woman in a homemade cat costume reminded the world that fear doesn't stand a chance against courage and laughter. Naya Turner didn't run from the masked killer. She danced with him. And in doing so, she turned a moment of tension into a viral movement of joy. If the story inspired you, do me a favor. Subscribe so you never miss another story like this. Hit that notification bell. Drop a comment below telling me your favorite moment from this video. And share this with someone who needs a reminder that they're braver than they think. Because sometimes all it takes is a Catwoman with a sense of humor to remind us we're all in this together. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next story.